Yep, and I honestly cannot wait to get into our matchups. Again, just for the folks at home, reminding you on how this is going to work. This is going to be a best of five overall, but it's going to be played in individual best of three skirmishes between the players. So, again, the first school to come away with a total of 3 wins is going to be able to claim themselves as the Texas Regional Champions. So, as we get ready to head into our first matchups, again, just want to kind of go over of what we've seen in our previous matchup for the New York region and like the different type of picks that we saw. I'll be honest, it still kind of seemed as though once we saw one pick that just seemed to be like throughout the entire matchup, that's pretty much where we were going. I mean, we saw like what 2, 3 different cloud picks. Got to see Corin, Lucina, then Steve, and that was
Yeah.
pretty much it. I'm waiting to see a little bit more diversity. I'm hoping to see something else come out from this Texas region.
Well, you got to remember, we are talking about the FGC title that has the most diverse play pool in the entirety of all things FGCs. Outside of if you went to another game, I think isn't it Mugen that has you can put anything you want in there? Like you could put me versus you in that game. So
I don't want to see that.
I don't even know how that would work. It'd probably be like my forehead, laser eyes coming out of the glasses. You'd be able to flash me with the crystal bald head. It'd be a lot of fun. I guarantee you could create a very interesting move set. But we're
Throw
talking
Captain's cap.
about Smash. Yeah, you'd be able to throw it. It'd look like Mario.
Yeah,
I love it.
but
Go ahead.
But seriously though, like again, we've seen a lot of sorties.
Yeah.
Sorties and Steve. That's what we got throughout that entire first New York regional. But here in Texas, I want to see some big brawlers. I want to see my heavies if we can. Also want to see the brawlers. And considering that we're getting closer to around my state, around Louisiana. We're right next door there in Texas. And Louisiana also has a pretty big smash scene. And we like our big heavies too. So again, Texas. We I can see us having an event together at some point one day. Texas versus Louisiana. Again, two big thriving Smash communities. So I want to see what the best of Texas has to offer. Just
Mhm.
for future reference. I need to see what we're up against.
And to remind everyone, we are talking about Scholastic Esports. This is a high school level tournament final. So it's going to go a long way. You're going to see youngsters who are learning about their characters consistently, how they can overcome, whether it be their weaknesses or just the combatant on the other side of the Smash stage from them. I do want to say also that you too can get in on the action. Are you ready to get in on that action? Well, the enrollment for the 2024 spring season is now open and it's free to compete. Discover the opportunities that Play Versus offers and get all the details on the upcoming season at playversus.com. Do not just watch, play.
Perfect. Flawless execution. Love it. Now, and again, you know what? Also, I gotta throw out there as well because not just in Texas, but in general, there are a lot of collegiate opportunities on the line as well. So again, a lot of scouts, for different esports programs for different universities, particularly in Texas because there's a lot of them. I know you got UTA, UTD, the list goes on and on. You're not to mention, you got Houston out there as well. So again, a lot of collegiate esports programs have scouts that are looking at events like this one to see who their next top draft pick are going to be for their esports program offering scholarships as well. So that's why tournaments like this, like Play Versus, is really important for a lot of these high school kids because they get a chance to put on their talents for display for potential esports recruiters at different college and different esports programs. So again, big opportunities here for a lot of these players as we get ready to head into our first matchup.
Yep, and that is what it is all about, the academic side of things. It is a constant learning experience, both behind the controller as well as in the classroom, and you're going to get to see the best that Texas has to offer. So again, another shout out to the Texas Charter School Academic and Athletic League for helping us put on this Texas final. But again, folks, we're here, the Play Versus YouTube channel, and we're getting ready for the Science Academy of South Texas against Leadership Prep School, the Texas Charter School and Academic Athletic League state finals. So Again, best of 5 sets, and those sets are best of 3, 3 stock. That is a mouthful, but essentially, you're going to have characters who are trying to best each other twice with 3 stocks and a maximum of 3 games per set. And the best part about all this, we don't know who we're going to end up seeing. So we're still getting used to all of our characters, the players who are going to be on the stage, and we don't know who they play. That's the best part. Along all this, we're going to be learning with you as they are adapting on the fly. I'm looking forward to it. Uh, Give me a little bit of that Creole flavor, though. Louisiana, just next door to Texas. What are some of the things that you normally see in Louisiana? And I almost guarantee we'll probably see maybe a little bit of it here today.
Well, right off the rip, you don't even have to be in Louisiana to know that we're probably going to see a Steve and or Enderman again. That right there is universal. Honestly, we could probably take a trip to Mars and somewhere there's going to be a Steve slash Enderman come through for their representation. But in Louisiana, our number one player, our big pro is Kirby Kidd, who I actually
Ooh.
got to meet at a STEM conference and was really awesome to meet them. And they are arguably the best King K. Rule player in the world. So again, really love being able to see them in action. So again, that's why I'm a big fan of King K. Rules, because that's our guy. Our guy is King K. Rule. If there was like a Louisiana Smash rep, it would be King K. Rule. Like, we get that he's a crocodile, but in Louisiana, he's a gator. Like, there's no doubt about it. That's a Louisiana gator right there. That is a bayou gator, the way that we look at King K. Rule. So again, I want to see some of my big heavies. Also, with that being said, there's always the usual picks. Again, being able to see some Lynx, some Roy. And honestly, I'm so surprised we didn't see any Fire Emblem characters in that past matchup. Yes, we got a lot of Cloud, but again, we didn't get any Roy, no Byleth, and I would say, like, Ike and Marth, but they're kind of down on the wayside as far as pick rates go. But Byleth and Roy for sure. Also, I haven't gotten to see any of my wacky zany zoners. I want some Pac-Man, some Game and Watch, some Duck Hunt. I've even seen some increased pick rates in Piranha Plant. And I love Piranha Plant. Piranha Plant is adorable, in my opinion. I want to pat them on their piranha head without getting my hand bitten off. But also, I was really looking forward to seeing, maybe some Little Mac. Little Mac does has been having a higher pick rate. Again, they seem to be quite a formidable brawler. Again, they're somewhat of a glass cannon, but still their pick rate has been going up and up and up recently. And I'm just surprised we haven't even seen any brawler for that matter. Nonetheless, Little Mac.
Yeah, dude, we'll even take a me brawler at that point.
Me Brawler
But
be savage. Hold on,
yeah, they
you say
can
it
be.
as a joke, but Me Brawler is with the get down. Okay, don't sleep on a Me Brawler. I have seen collegiate crew battles where
Oh
the
yeah.
Me Brawler was the most formidable in the lineup.
Oh yeah, I think we've actually seen the exact same thing. I know what you're talking about. So yeah, even at the collegiate level, that can be something that goes down. I hesitate for a second. You said it was Kirby Kid, but
Hmm.
they were a King K. Rule player.
Yeah, their name is Kirby Kid, and then their dad is Kirby Dad. Yeah, Kirby Kid and is a King K Rule main. Yeah.
And that must have been raised up on a different game where Kirby was the main, and then moved on to greener pasture. So I get it. I get it. Maybe, but we are again still waiting on the gameplay to get started here. But I I'm excited because we once again get to cover some of this high school action for Play Versus, and it has been quite the experience. They're working the administrators behind the scenes, making sure that everything gets underway. And folks, again, I tell you, the Play Versus, a perfect platform for you to get involved. If you are a high school student, let your or let your administrators know, let your coaches know that hey, there's a place where we can have some organized play and potentially, who knows, maybe even represent the state for something bigger. down the road. So shout out to all of our play versus administrators behind the scenes. Shout out to our producer, it's Goose, as we are looking to get things started here very shortly. Thank you, folks, for bearing with us.
Oh, absolutely. But I actually do kind of like the pause, before jumping right into the action, because then you have essentially what is the Kendo and Atsoka show.
Yeah,
We get to banter a little bit. We get to have a little bit of fun, because yes, it is all about the players. It is all about play versus. But in between the sets and in between the matches, you get to have a sit down with Kendo and myself. And you know what? That right there in and of itself can also be a treat, because we're shouting at you, shouting at a video game. Maybe you should be able to get to know a little bit about the people behind the voices when we're going through this. So as we're taking time getting ready to head into our first matchup, it's really fun to actually just sit here and banter a little bit and share our passions for
exactly.
academic esports. And actually, I am currently in school myself. Actually, just finished
Ooh,
out the semester with a 3.75 GPA, on the president's list. Let's go.
let's
But with
go.
that, I've done a lot of my recent work in school surrounding academic esports. So again, there's a lot of collegiate opportunities surrounding esports, including a lot of STEM leagues as well. STEM is really, really big in esports. So again, if you're looking for pathways into college and things like that, esports it's definitely making waves, and there's a lot of people out there within the academic community that are working hard at work to make esports more accessible in public education, which is where again, that's where a lot of my work in college was
Yeah.
focused, was on esports being more readily available through public schools.
And it's continually growing. It's wonderful to see curriculums that are actually even based off of esports. So and the fact that now more than ever the esports industry is is being brought out of the bedroom, out of the living room, out of the closet, the basement, wherever you want to place your console or your monitor, and it is now in the forefront. It mirrors, it parallels what we see in esports and electronic gaming being the fastest growing industry and one of the fastest growing industries in our great country. So it's fantastic to see the learning opportunities, and that is what we are going to see on display today. The best that Texas has to offer, the Science Academy of South Texas Leadership Prep School, and they are still working on getting everything going on in the background for you. One of the best things about all this is technical difficulties do happen. So we'll talk to you for a little bit longer. I gotta ask, Cap. Let's we could have a potential mental battle right now over what could be our mains and who we think would win. Now, I of course I refer to myself as the OG filthy casual. I am not very good as far as competitive goes for certain games, and Smash is by no means one that I have a great history on. But
Mm,
if you see me on the Smash stage, I'm usually rocking a Kirby or a
okay.
Jigglypuff. Now, how would you
A
beat me down?
Jigglypuff. My
Yes,
goodness. My
I know,
goodness.
right?
Um, I like to consider myself an OG, meaning that my days were on
Okay.
the Smash 64.
Ooh.
That's where I
Yes,
started.
yes,
So
yes.
yeah, throwing it way back. So even still, my main character is actually a legacy. It is Captain Falcon. I would like to consider myself a Captain Falcon main.
Oh.
However, I have studied the ways of Apollo Kage and also am a huge fan of Solid Snake. Snake is arguably the best zoner in Smash and is just
Yeah.
insane. Apollo Kage again making a name for Solid Snake, and honestly, it has gotten to the point in the Smash community where Solid Snake and Apollo Kage go hand in hand, kind of like how Roy goes hand in hand with Goblin. That's why they call him Goblin Roy. Again, the character goes hand in hand with the player. So yes, so if you were to see me, we would go up head to head. What were you bringing? A Jigglypuff and a Kirby, two identical squishy characters coming up
Yeah,
against my
pretty
Captain
much.
Falcon and my Solid Snake. It'd be a match for sure. It'd be a match.
It all depends upon what I need to do. Do I need the counter? Do I need to sing you to sleep at the right time and get that lethal counter? Or do I need to uh, counter the never-ending onslaught by maybe bringing you into my jowls and then taking some of your power from you. It
Yeah,
just all
Kirby.
depends.
Kirby would definitely be a great matchup to Solid Snake because again, Kirby's very floaty. He can they're not really grounded. So, and again, that's where Solid Snake gets a lot of their damage in from characters that are really grounded because then they're forced to deal with all the utility, the mortar strikes, the C4, the grenades and everything else. Really effective against grounded players. Now, if you have somebody like Kirby who can float and really stick to the air a little bit longer, then they're not going to be as susceptible to a lot of that damage. So again, Kirby against Solid Snake would be a great matchup. Now, Captain Falcon on Jigglypuff, I'm taking that. I'm sorry. Your Jigglypuff ain't the down throw into up B, so long Jigglypuff. I'm sorry. The
Yep.
Jigglypuff on Captain Falcon, I'm taking that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're 100% turning me into a punching bag, and I don't blame you for that one.
Out of
But
all the Pokemon characters that are available in Smash, one of my favorite Smash characters ever actually is Pokemon Trainer, where you literally get 3 different Pokemon.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yet you sit here with a Jigglypuff.
Hey, you know what? You gotta have your floaty characters and twos in my mind, and then you go back both OG characters. So Jigglypuff and Kirby throughout the ages have been there. I also consider myself someone who you found on more Smash 64 back in the day. So uh, give me a little bit of that, and hopefully I'd be able to keep up. Hopefully I get one stock off of you. That you'd probably get about 7.
Oh, what? No, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm garbage. My character selection is probably like S tier, but my actual use of the character is, that's a failing grade. That's F tier. Like, it's really, really bad. Again, I'm just not good. I'm a fan, if anything. But here we are. It looks like if this isn't, the button check, which is customary in Smash, and this is actually the start of the matchup here, we have a doozy. We got a Mii Brawler taking on a Byleth, and we talked about both of these characters, so I'm happy to see them.
I love it. Go ahead and we get a Mii Brawler. We almost speak it into existence. It's something that doesn't happen too often.
Are you kidding? Mii Brawler is a goon. Watch for the cannonballs.
Yep,
The little
exactly.
cannonballs, the little bowling balls. Well, on the edge guard too. Just wait. It's gonna happen.
Again, Mii Brawler coming in for Science Academy, Varsity Black, and LPS Akatsuki. Gonna have the Byleth. Individuals, Habib on the Byleth, Daniel on the Mii Brawler. So, very interesting matchup so far. I'm watching, and then, my goodness, you can't just allow that drop from the sky to hit you.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, but they're going up against one of the best swordies in the game as well, Byleth. Absolutely love Byleth. And the fact that this Mii Brawler is handling up on this player and on this character just speaks to the volume of how much work they have put in on the Mii Brawler. Because again, Mii Brawler isn't like, one of the standout players or standout characters in Smash, that you have to put in the effort, the hours, and the practice to really make Mii Brawler something special. So again, big shout out, to SAE Sports being able to take this Mii Brawler and turn them into such a powerhouse.
Oh, that is a powerhouse finish, as they will get the stock on that. 2-0 for stock number 1. Really good stuff out of Daniel on the side of Science Academy of South Texas. So the Byleth down early. Gonna need to come back. Well, maybe you throw me a little bit of analysis on what we saw. I know the Mii Brawler brings a zone breaking mentality. It can be very in your face, and it wants to make you uncomfortable. It's the very essence of what I think it should be a lot of gameplay in Smash. But what did we observe there? What was the difference in game number 1 for you?
Well, honestly, I mean, the Mii Brawler is just playing phenomenally. That's the big difference. This is a player who has gone in on the Mii Brawler and is not letting go. This is, in my opinion, this is clearly their main. If it's not, I would hate to see who their main was, because that would be devastating. Because right now, Byleth is actually not the worst counter pick to a Mii Brawler, because Byleth, again, a very powerful sortie, meaning that that their swings deal a lot of damage. They have a lot of knockback. everything in between, but also they have some of the most range out of any of the other sorties. They have some of the most reach out of any of the other sorties. So again, Byleth is definitely a very dangerous character, and the fact that this me brawler is literally just breaking the lines of defense for Byleth. I mean, there's really, I mean, there's definitely other counter picks out there, but again, Byleth is a good matchup for me brawler. Like on paper, this is a great matchup, but this me brawler is just so good. You know, they're literally, you know, they at least for game one, we're running away with it.
Yeah, very much so. And for the Byleth, sometimes you'll see a Byleth played a little more in a turtle style. There's plenty of utility for them to create control everywhere on the stage. And in this case, what we saw out of Daniel's Meat Brawler, it was in your face from the very start. Even coming off of edge guard, you saw Daniel bring things straight back into the Byleth, getting through any lines of defense that were already being set up. So, great me brawler hype, living up to it, breaking anything that the Byleth sent its way as we get ready for game number 2. Again, folks, a best of 5 set. So there are going to be 5 potential of these best of 3 stocks. That was game number 1. So it is Science Academy of South Texas that is up 1-0 in set number 1 at the moment. They win another one, they win the first set. They lose it, we go into a decisive game number 3. Again, and all 3 stocks need to be eliminated from either combatant.
And, you know, even further still, you know, just watching the performance of what we saw from Science Academy of South Texas, you know, with their me brawler, again, you know, it's just got me thinking of, you know, possible characters that could possibly be a counter pick. And really what's coming to mind are more consistent, not necessarily zoner types, but those with reach, because Byleth, again, they have phenomenal reach and they are a great sortie. But, you know, right now it's just not consistent because, again, they are, at the end of the day, a full-fledged sortie. So that's going to be, you know, mid to close range. You need players or characters with a little bit more reach. And names like Min Min come to mind. Min Min constantly has reach, is going to constantly keep that me brawler at bay. And then not only that, but also you have players like a Zero Suit Samus. Zero Suit Samus is a tried and true Smash, I want to say favorite, just because again, we have seen Zero Suit Samus arise time and time again throughout the meta in Smash competitive, whether it be Ultimate, Brawl, Melee, etc. Maybe not Melee, but definitely Brawl and Ultimate. So with that being said, oh, and Villager too, by the way. Villager, again, definitely has some of those grappling zoning abilities, but we're going to be sticking with the Byleth here, and let's see what they're going to be able to do as we head into game number 2 of set number 1. And keep in mind, there is 1 win currently on the board for this me brawler.
So if you are coming in on the Byleth, you want to make sure that you're sticking with the me brawler. Once again, brawler, it almost seemingly spamming some of those kicks. A little bit of air behind them. They're taking control of the middle of the stage, utilizing blocks extremely well, but you can't rely on that too much because immediately you can be pushed back. Good start, in my opinion, from the Byleth to really kind of dictate a new pace. Never mind.
Yeah, me brawler is something nasty. You know what's even interesting is that we haven't seen any of their grappling abilities, which, you know, a lot of us, you know, in the Smash community call that primary flying lotus. Again, shout out to the Naruto fandom there. I mean, we already got one team that call themselves the Akatsuki, so it only makes sense to bring in some more Naruto references. But yeah, we haven't seen any of that, of the grappling moves coming from the me brawler yet, so I'm wondering where those are. In the meantime, Byleth here, or Habit rather, from the Science Academy of South Texas, still looking to get their first stock, and there it goes. We are back down to 2 apiece.
Got a little bit bent up on the edge. I felt like they were going to be able to get the recovery, but no sudden block. They are up very close to a full stock. The 94 damage looking sizable. And Brawler not going away. I wrote it down on my notes here. It's been total nonstop action, total nonstop me brawler, and they have been smash mouth in the face of Habib on the Byleth the entirety of this go. Wow.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, easy come, easy go, that lead is no mo. Okay, now we're getting right back to the action center stage, and now all is fair because like we had, mentioned earlier, Me Brawler, they are very quick to the action. They love to stay center platform for the most part, and they love to deal that damage on the ground. But with that being said, their recovery is kind of doo-doo. That's why we saw them two times here in game number two that they went off stage and they just couldn't recover.
I think the utilization of the extra platforms is my heart skipped a beat. We've seen multiple times where that small an amount off the side was too much. But utilization of these platforms, I feel like could go a long way in helping the Me Brawler. Don't want to get too far down. Who's out now? They have the edge guard. Push down and the game. First set gonna go to the Me Brawler of Daniel, and Science Academy of South Texas has started things strong.
Yeah, that they have. And honestly, it was a pretty confident victory too, because they took it 2-0. So again, it was technically a sweep even in this best of three. That went the way of the Me Brawler. And it wasn't, somewhat of an easy matchup either. They were going up against a Byleth, someone who can keep them at range. But again, Me Brawler was able to use that speediness, just being able to really read the strikes coming from Byleth and then close the gap immediately. And then they didn't even have to rely on the edge guard. And
Yeah.
even after forfeiting two stocks from an unfortunate recovery, to say the least, they still managed to get the job done on stage. So again, fantastic showing coming from Science Academy to start things off here for set number one. But now, as we get ready to head into the set number two, it's going to be interesting to see on what the next two characters are going, or the next two players are going to bring to the table. Because again, it's all fresh.
I do feel like the Byleth did have a lot more to give as far as what we could have seen out of it. Really exploring some of the toolkit that Byleth has. It just seemed like the Me Brawler never gave it a chance to have any comfortable feeling. You didn't see some of the excessive range attacks from the Byleth that were utilized to full. I mean, even some of the arrows that came out to zone out the charge of the Meat Brawler were immediately quelled. They never actually got a full on hit. So it's credit to what Daniel was able to do in creating a pace that completely took a beeb off their game. And set two, hopefully for leadership prep, they will be able to change their fortunes a little bit. They're going to want to get in control of the pace of play.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, from what I could tell in the first matchup, I just feel like that Me Brawler has played several Byleths. That looks
Yeah.
like a character that knew exactly how to counter Byleth because again, we did see them try to use a little bit of that, utility, the weapons in their arsenal. The spear came out, the bow and arrow came out, but again, this Me Brawler just knew the playbook from front to back, cover to cover. And they were able to really draw out a lot of those reached attacks because when they do go out for a spear or they do go out and try and use the bow and arrow, the Me Brawler was there with the guard, dodge roll, and then immediately close the gap before they can bring out their next move. Because even though those moves do have a lot of reach, it is a little bit of a time consumption. So it leaves you vulnerable. And that Me Brawler, they were just able to bait out those moves and then punish accordingly. So again, that Me Brawler, I just think they have a lot of experience on that character.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think they have definitely played quite a few Byleths in their day. But with that being said, I'm just excited to see what the next two characters are going to bring, are going to be as we get ready to head into set number two.
And I agree with you completely. And that is the mystery that we will hope to be revealed very shortly. But credit again to Daniel. I agree with you. There was also really good utilization of the shield, really good utilization of being able to block your opponent and bait out, as you said, some of those attacks. And once they got in close, they seemed like they were owning the matchup. Two new players going to be on the stage here very shortly. Is just so you understand what the format is. There are three players who main for both teams, and we are going to see each of the three players in whatever order that they're picked through the coaches and through the leadership there at the academies and the prep schools. So as they pick, we do see everybody getting their opportunity to play. But once we get into that set number 4 and set number 5, you get to play the hot hand. And I know one thing's for sure. If I am the Science Academy of South Texas, I like what I saw out of my Mii Brawler. I could see that pick again if we go to 4.
Well, I am getting information on the next matchup, and I'm really curious if what I had read was correct. And again, I'm not going to spoil it. No spoiler or alerts, at least for now. We're going to wait until we get into the match. But if what I am seeing is correct, then my goodness, this is going to be an interesting matchup. And honestly, I don't. I'll save my comments for the match itself, because this is going to be very interesting. But with that being said, I actually love the character selection right now, because it is nearly the polar opposite of what we saw for the New York region, and it really
Yeah.
just goes to show. It really goes to show, like, by region, how different Smash communities are. Because I've also done, Battle for the South, for the Georgia, Florida region, and those were some interesting matchups to say the least. Again, very interesting. And then of course we talked about, my area, my neck of the woods, Louisiana match. My Louisiana matchups as well, and how, our character selection goes, what we're good at. And the same could be said for Texas as well. We're getting a glimpse into what, their scene looks like. So again, it's just really interesting to see, as you go from region to region, what their kind of niche is, how they play, and what differences it really, really makes in competitive scenes like this one.
And my understanding is we're going to get Larry De Los Santos versus Usher Khan. And we won't reveal who they are playing. Just wait. Or just yet. But those two look to be the combatants for their respective teams going into set number 2. Those of you who are listening and you might know what they play, you already are excited, because there is a lot of damage potential in this matchup and on the stage between the two picks. Just waiting on the stage selection, and we'll get things started.
I mean, can we just settle in on PS2? Like, can we not pretend like it's not gonna be Pokemon Stadium 2? Like, you might as well look, three. You only need 3 maps, okay? You need Pokemon Stadium 2, Battlefield, and Final Destination. That's it. That's the third. And you know what? You can throw Animal Crossing in if you like, but you don't need it. Pokemon Stadium 2, Battlefield, large or small, either rendition, and then Final Destination, and then you're good to go. The stage selection isn't that difficult. Let's see where we're going. Where we're headed.
Hey, there you go.
Stadium 2. Captain's not capping. Let's get this one underway.
So on the side for Larry is going to be a Mewtwo and a Pyramithra on the side of leadership rep. And I say it's a very interesting matchup, because you have a couple of, I don't want to call them glass cannons, but the amount of damage that both of these can do is monumental.
Oh yeah, Pyramithra, not so much a glass cannon. Like, they are very formidable, but at the same time, they're not very squishy. Mewtwo, one of the squishiest characters in the game. Absolutely ridiculous. The amount of times I've seen Mewtwo sent to the blast zone, and sometimes haven't even been in the red. But with that being said, Mewtwo is somewhat of a zoner. They have psychic abilities, etc. But Pyramithra, my goodness, this is a sortie that can cover ground. So again, I would be nervous if I was the Mewtwo right now, but so far, so good. I mean, look at the damage they're putting out there.
This is definitely a matchup where one critical mistake can lead to you falling off, and Suzu taking time, charging up, making sure to try to zone out some of those potential extra too. Very close, as you said. Very lightweight character. Surprisingly so when you consider the model.
Oh, absolutely. Again, they're deceptively light for that matter. And now you did see that at least one stock was taken off the Pyramithra off of the back throw, and now trying to force Pyramithra off stage again. And Pyramithra actually has a decent recovery, so getting them off stage I don't think is going to give you much of a benefit. But honestly, I'm really surprised that this Mewtwo from Science Academy, South Texas, has yet to be sent to the blast zone. I'm surprised they're still standing.
Oh, that's a little bit of shenanigans off the side guard. Well read by the Pyramithra. to make sure that they didn't put themselves in a bad spot, but it was about 50 damage. They were able to get out of that second stock. So what we've seen out of Larry's Mewtwo looking fairly good. Both combatants looking to be patient at the right time. We haven't seen too many of those psychic distance strikes go through for this Mewtwo. We've seen a couple of them charged up, but it's been read out extremely well by the leadership prep side.
Yeah, speaking of, just well played maneuvers here, this Mewtwo is honestly impressing me because I've seen several Mewtwo's, none that have actually lasted this long. Like, honestly, I'll see a 3-stock Mewtwo go in and then it'll end in what feels like 30 seconds, respectively 10 seconds per each stock. This Mewtwo, my goodness, they are definitely making an argument for the character because they are just playing so well. And even when you consider that they are a really well-rounded zoner, anytime that you see the Pyramithra getting close on the Mewtwo, it ends in either a down or back throw.
Oh, and the smash to the side. Brilliant stuff from the Mewtwo. I think a lot of that, though, Cap, comes from the fact that this Mewtwo was more grounded. You get some of the aerial movement of the Mewtwo, and you can find yourself in a really bad spot. It contributes to the floatiness of this character, how light it can feel despite how large its model is, because you say, for instance, an up air. A lot of those Pyramithra attacks that you're seeing, especially there on the last stock, they were trying to zone out some of those aerials. The Mewtwo wasn't having any of it. They were staying grounded. They were making the Pyra come to them, and then they were punishing, utilizing grabs, utilizing blocks at the right time. So really good stuff by Larry on the Mewtwo.
Oh, absolutely. The grabs were great because the majority of the time, or Larry, was that right? Yeah, Larry
Yeah.
De Los Santos was doing a fantastic job just by using the ranged abilities of the Mewtwo. And that's where they were able to get in a lot of damage because if you're going to try and avoid all of those ranged attacks, you got to rush in. And that's what Pyramithra's trying to do. That's where they deal the most damage, is being the up close sortie, especially when they bring out the Pyra. But anytime that they tried to rush in, it was immediately punished with the grabs. The grabs is what made the difference coming from Larry on the Mewtwo. Very well played. Again, the very first stock, as a matter of fact, was taken from a back throw. And then that's what reoccurred at time and time again. And then the thing that really made a big difference as well was that Larry did not allow themselves to be susceptible to the edge guard. Anytime we saw the Mewtwo go off stage, they immediately recovered with some wake up damage as well, and they spent little to no time on the edge. I don't even know if anybody really picked that up or noticed it, but the Pyramithra was off stage way more often than the Mewtwo was. The Mewtwo, that was Larry, literally minimized as much time as possible off stage.
So, do you think if there is a shorter stage, it changes the complexion of this matchup altogether, especially given what we've seen? Give the Mewtwo even less room than it already had?
Oh, absolutely. And if you pair them up with another character that does play a lot of offstage, like Greninja for that matter, Greninja can go toe to toe with Mewtwo's ranged attacks, the Water Shuriken. And not only that, but Greninja, again, has really good edge guard and can actually force a lot of characters all the way into the horizontal blast zone. So, again, if you give, a character a smaller stage, it definitely makes a whirlwind of difference, especially against a character like Mewtwo. But with that being said, when you're playing against the Pyramithra, I feel like a map like Final Destination, again, those are one of the maps that I picked earlier out of my 3. You put them on Final Destination against a Pyramithra, and they're not going to be as successful. Just because there's no platforms, for one. For two, it gives the Pyramithra a lot more ground to have footholds on where they're not going off stage. So again, I agree with what you were saying in that, the map selection definitely does make a difference. And that's why we have this process of picking the map, picking the stage. So that way, you can have that sense of control. One player will get it for the first map, then the second. It all has a factor, which is why we have the processes that we do when it comes to stage selection.
I imagine that process is going to be over here very shortly. But if I am leadership prep school, we're trying to get a stopgap in. You got to be able to stop what has started, and that has been really Science Academy of South Texas showing themselves to be really, really good at remaining in a dangerous range. The Mii Brawler was excellent at being in the face of the Byleth. The Mewtwo was excellent in standing in the face of where the Pyrrha would like to be. Like multiple times, we saw the sword throw come through, and the Mewtwo in between the sword and the Pyrrha, just utilizing the block and making sure that they were able to phase through it and get to the grab that was subsequently after on multiple occasions. So really good stuff from this Mewtwo. Gonna need to see some adjustments, some learning on the fly from Usher on the Pyrrha Mithra, or who knows? You called for it, and maybe we'll see a change. I know some of these high school players are no strangers to having multiple mains. It's a learning process. It's all about that scholastic energy and trying to grow yourself. And so, do we see something different? Do we end up seeing the same matchup and an adjustment made within that matchup? We're about to find out.
Yeah, that we are. And honestly, you know what I'm thinking? That me brawler, like I know it's still on the side of Science Academy, but if you were to bring a me brawler in this match and then put them against that Mewtwo, that would be nearly a perfect counter pick. And the same can be said, and I said this earlier, Little Mac. If you put Little Mac in this matchup right now, I would think that they would make short work of the Mewtwo. Little Mac and Me Brawler, some of the speediest hands-on brawlers in the game, and that's what we saw from the Me Brawler in map number 1. They closed the gap and they did an insane amount of damage very quickly. The same with a Little Mac, and like we had said, Mewtwo is squishy. They are a glass cannon. If they take too much damage, they're getting sent to the blast zone, no problem. And Little Mac and Me Brawler are one of the or two of those characters that have insane knockback. If you give them an open opportunity, they're gonna send you to the moon, especially Little Mac, who has the KO punch on deck. So again, they I think are gonna have to adopt maybe a speedier character. They could even bring a full speedster in, and I think it would be a great switch up, like again, like Sonic, again, the fastest character in the game for good reason. So there are counter picks to this Mewtwo, but again, the player behind the character is what's making it right now. And
Yeah.
Larry, again, making me a believer out of Mewtwo, because I'll be honest, I was sleeping on Mewtwo coming into this matchup. Going up against Pyramithra, I was like, okay, Pyramithra, they have that fight all day. Mewtwo's not going to be able to do nothing. But Larry's Mewtwo, that's a different story.
You woke up. You got out of bed, did the hair, and
Oh,
now you're
really?
ready.
A hair
Now you're ready.
joke? Come on, man. Come on, dude. What are you talking? What hair? What are you talking about, my dude? What's
I
Come on?
apologize. I
That's too
apologize.
that was a layup.
That was
That
a
was
layup. That
cheesy.
was a
Come
low
on.
hanging fruit. Low hanging fruit. I apologize.
You're better than that. You're better than that, Kendo.
I get the feeling we're gonna have a Discord later. No, but yeah, we are again waiting on the next portion. We are game number 1 gone the way of Science Academy of South Texas in set number 2. Game number 2 gonna be going through here as we go. But Larry, apparently the captain of this Science Academy of South Texas squad.
Yeah, not only that, but apparently he is also the stream/broadcast manager. And Larry has also presented at our local education service center to teachers, coaches, and admin about the benefits of esports. And I did not just read that off of the
Oh,
text
you
that
totally
was
read it.
instantly delivered to me. I knew that information offhand. No shot was I just presented with that information and read it right off the message. I knew this going into this broadcast today.
Hey, well, it's one of the things that I like to admonish and to push forward about the scholastic portion of esports, especially at the high school level, because you have these young folks who are quite literally captains. You're developing leadership. You also have stream broadcasts. So skills that are important within the realm of esports that go beyond just esports. I can think of people who started their work in esports and now are working for teams in the NHL, teams in the NBA, etc. So everything under the sun, from graphics design to the ability to do broadcasts. It applies to your local news. It applies to sports broadcasts at the highest level. So these young people are getting application in education at monumental spots. That is what the high school esports realm is all about. And it's a shout out again to the Texas Charter School academic and athletic league for putting people like Larry in a spot where they are able to grow themselves and go beyond.
It's funny that you say that too, because again, there are multiple fields of esports, other than, just getting there and playing the game. Again, we have coaches, we have admins, we have people like you and I who deal with on screen broadcast. We have people behind the scenes working broadcasts. And again, for people that may not be too familiar, even though this is a live stream on wherever, YouTube, Twitch, whatever it is, there is still that production knowledge that goes hand in hand with a lot of television broadcasts as well. But without further ado, here we go on to Final Destination, the map that I called, that I think Pyramithra will be able to perform a little bit better on than on Pokemon Stadium 2. So let's get ready to find out if Captain was capping, as we are well and underway into our second game of set 2.
I do like a little bit of the knockback, and to the pyramid, you want to make sure that you're getting as much return on investment on some of those sword throws as you possibly can. I like the idea of maybe slowing down the close combat between these two, utilizing a couple extra blocks, utilizing your own throw. It's not as crazy as the Mewtwo back throw, but being able to change the pace in close quarters may go a long way in changing fortune.
Oh my, that forward air was absolutely nasty. They followed up their own ranged attack to cause a block, and then instantly when they came out of block, they followed it with a forward air, but the first stock is going to go the way of Habit, and the revenge stock nearly comes in kind, and there it is. 2 back-to-back stocks going one of each way, and just like that, we're down to 2 apiece.
But you're already seeing the adjustments here by the Pyramithra paying off. There's already maybe a better comfort level that you're seeing from the character. They're good in their own shoes, but you don't want to be too patient at the same time, because the Mewtwo's starting to adjust its pacing at the same time. Another brilliant grab. I want a front grab if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and you know what? This is a swap in the mid going from the Mithra to the Pyra, which again is a little questionable because again, even though you have the accessibility to have those 2 different, swordies with the Pyra and the Mithra, you really want to stick to the Mithra in the early game. And now that we're here in the late game, you see at that 83% damage, that's when you bring the Pyra out. So again,
there you go.
Call. It's a great call. I just think it came a little bit early, because now, there you go. The revenge stock comes in no time, and 144% damage is already done, and it's only a matter of time before that second stock is gone.
Oh, and they weren't able to get back to the edge, and we once again find ourselves 0-0 at the start of even stock. I think they're utilizing almost too much the flaming sword throw. Just too much for zoning. I'd like to see a little bit more of that in-your-face attitude, but at the same time, they're also changing things up. That's the 3rd straight one they've been able to connect on.
Yeah, they're doing really, really well. And like I said, I like the Pyra switch. I just think it should come later rather than sooner. They brought it out a little bit early.
Wow.
But now we're here in the late game. Now's the opportune time for it. As a matter of fact, when people talk about, Pyra Mithra, I just call them edge guard Mithra. Because this Pyra, they're just really, really good at the edge guard. They're really good at finishing. That's their ability. Other than that, you use Mithra the whole way through. But, right now, it just seems to be that this particular player, which I believe is Usher, is just really has a lot better aptitude for playing Pyra. And just like that, they're able to take the second stock and the game here in set 2. We are now split at 1 win apiece.
I'm gonna write this down, but the sword throws went a very long way. I think maybe a little too much pride on the Mewtwo. That back throw multiple times had led to a victory, and they probably felt like, oh, I finally have a break here. It got a little ambitious, and they found themselves falling off the edge. Really good adjustments, though, from Usher and the Pyramithra. So we're gonna see our first game number 3 in a set, and it's between 2 combatants that if the Pyramithra continues to make the adjustments that we've seen, oh my, this Mewtwo might be in trouble.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm actually just happy that I made a call and it was correct, because I even said if the Pyramithra goes on to Final Destination, they should have a better performance than what they did on Pokemon Stadium 2,
They're listening.
and they did. So Captain wasn't capping. I was correct on that call. That Pyramithra on Final Destination was a little bit better.
I agree with you completely. It definitely seemed to change the complexion, especially with the extra stage. Plus, in my opinion, it brought the Pyramithra on the same level that the Mewtwo wanted to play at. More often than not, you were seeing the platforms Pyramithra was playing off of, expecting the Mewtwo to come to them, expecting the Mewtwo to float just a little bit, and that was where you found a lot of the attacks. The Mewtwo stayed grounded. Mewtwo stayed grounded this one. There weren't really any platforms to play off of. And the Pyramithra just face to face looked so much better. Whereas in the first game, not a single one of those sword throws hit. We saw 4 straight hit, and it was a large amount of damage to both the second stock as well as the final stock.
Yeah, and you know what? I really think that Usher on the Pyramithra is just a little bit more. What's the word? I think has a little bit more aptitude for Pyra than Mithra, because a lot of Pyra-Mithra players, they tend to lean more towards Mithra. That's where they spend the majority of their time, and then they'll bring Pyra in, to get the knockback, to get the finish, once you get to like 100% damage. But however, Usher on the Pyra-Mithra seems to be really, really good at just playing Pyra. So I'm starting to think that maybe they should just, not spend as much time on the Mithra and then just jump straight into Pyra, because I think that's the big change that we saw from games number 1 and 2. In game number 1, they were playing a lot more Mithra, and on Pokemon Stadium 2, that's understandable. But once we got to see them play on the Pyra, it just seemed like they were doing a lot better. So maybe they can bring out the Pyra even earlier, going into the next matchup, going into game number 3.
It's all about the learning. It's all about the adjustments you can make and outsmarting your opponent in the moment. So they've done a really good job to put themselves on even footing. It's 1-1, set number 2. The winner will take set number 2. And for leadership prep, that means evening everything up. For Science Academy of South Texas, that means putting things on match point. And that's something that they would really like to do. The pressure early on, getting 2 sets in a best of 5 sets would go a very long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but you got to keep in mind is that, the side for Science Academy of South Texas, they already have 1 win on the board. So if
Yep.
the Mewtwo were to come out on top, then they would be on series point. And that's, again, that's just going to give them even that much more momentum and morale, which going into this matchup, they did have that advantage because, esports, I think even sometimes more than traditional sports, is momentum based. If you give them a big boost of momentum, they can literally ride that wave all the way into a victory, because again, with esports, it's a lot more in your head than say some traditional sports. So and don't get me wrong, I have played traditional sports. I played 10 years of baseball. I can tell you that once you get in your own head, it is a nightmare. But even in esports, that much more still. Once you start getting into your own head, and that morale and that momentum has kind of escaped you, it's really hard to get it back.
I agree with you completely. So a lot on the line going into this next game. The set could be what breaks either one of these teams. It could be the start of something really good for leadership prep. It could be the start of securing a regional championship, the Texas Charter School Academic and Athletic League High School Fall Championship for that state of Texas. So uh, they've put themselves in good a spot, and we're going to see just how well they're able to perform in the moment.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. Again, both of these players both have a win in this set. So it could really go either way. It was really looking like it was just going to go to the way of the Mewtwo. It looked like it was going to go the way of Larry. Again, I had to go over there and check again to make sure the name was Larry. Larry the Mewtwo. I love it. It definitely has a connotation to it. So let's see if Larry the Mewtwo will be able to bring a second win to the Science Academy Esports Varsity Black Squad, or will it go the way of leadership prep here in game 3 of set number 2?
Okay, well, we return to our original stage, and this favored the Mewtwo before. We'll see if it continues to do so. I would like to see a little bit of change up and overutilization of the some of the aerial assault that you can have with Mewtwo, and to try to give it a different look, because the in-your-face offense that we saw from the Pyramithra ended up going a long way, and if the Pyramithra has the full-on adjustment, then things might get interesting. First stock gonna go to this Mewtwo. Larry cooking early.
Yeah, that they are. And one thing I do have to say, like on this particular map, I do feel like the Pyramithra can be that much more dangerous only if they get Mewtwo on the edge. If they get Mewtwo on the edge, the Pyra's abilities to deny the recovery are insane, and they're going to be dealing a lot of damage in the process. So as long as Mewtwo can keep themselves off the edge, I think they're going to do just fine here.
Quite literally playing the edge, and you see how much patience they are playing with simultaneously. It's definitely a drastic change from what we see at the very beginning of this set. To be able to keep on, just waiting out some of the offense of the Pyramithra, and they are up at full stock at this point. They have the time to wait. The time could whittle down. I'd hate to see a timeout. By that, I mean 5 minutes on the clock, but at the pace both are playing, it's on the table.
Yeah, and the Mewtwo nearly lapped their opponent in damage percentage on that last stock before they were finally eliminated. But, you know, right there towards the end of that last stock, Mewtwo tried to play Pyramithra at their own game. They tried to play for the melee, they tried to play close range, and that's where they got punished. Look at the patience that is coming out from the Akatsuki side now on this Pyramithra. They're staying center stage, and they're just waiting for Mewtwo to push on in, making themselves vulnerable. They are taking their time, and they're not trying to force the damage.
It's brilliant because it's a complete inverse of what we saw in the first set. The Mewtwo was the one center of the stage and dictating the pace. Now the Pyramithra is the one doing the dictation. They have brought back the stock almost even. Gonna need to see it out. The back throw does go for the Mewtwo. They have to battle back for the center of this stage, and if they can't do so, if the Pyramithra can bring things back, especially with those sword throws, that's 6 straight sword throws that have hit.
And one of those times, you know, it was actually like a counterplay for Mewtwo. So again, the sword throws are very viable. The only thing is you got to make sure that they land. If they don't land, you know, you open yourself up for a punish and you leave yourself kind of defenseless in the process. Meanwhile, Mewtwo trying to create as much distance as possible, able to follow it up with a nice combo. Looks for the up air, but gets punished. And now we're down to 1 stock apiece, and 46%, now 50, is not that big of a lead for a Pyramithra.
No, it is not, and the switch over to Mithra is allowing a little more smash mouth thought process. They might be listening. They might understand what you were trying to get at. You switch back over the Pyra to secure? No, not yet. But the center of this stage has been the battleground, and they have both done a great job of establishing themselves in it once they get there. The Pyramithra, coming from the leadership prep, has been stellar, to be perfectly honest. The down smash, and now it's even ground. One hit could ruin the entire day for either of these combatants. What?
Oh, absolutely. But right now, this is definitely more dangerous for the Mewtwo. That Pyra can sustain, I don't want to say a lot more damage, but definitely more damage than this Mewtwo. I'm surprised this Mewtwo is, in fact, still standing. This could be it. Looking for the back throw! And there it is, the back throw from Larry on the Mewtwo will be enough to confirm and get the second win on the board for the Science Academy of South Texas. What a final game. What a match to set things off here for the Texas Regional.
I'm upset, Cap. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Okay, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not upset about the gameplay. What we saw was a fantastic set altogether. I'm upset that throughout that entirety of game number 3, it was patience, the theme of the Pyramithra. And what was their undoing? Impatience in the most critical moment. Got a little bit antsy. You see over 100 damage. You know the Mewtwo is there. One critical thought process error. The thing that Mewtwo converted on more than anything else to take you out, the back throw. And what do we see to end it all? A little bit of impatience leading into a back throw that saw you lose your stock. And I'm upset because they were doing so good. Make the Mewtwo come to you. Make them come to the middle, especially because the edge had not been your friend.
Yeah, dog. That one was a nail biter for sure. It really could have gone either
Yeah,
way. And
brilliant
throughout that
play.
whole last stock, I was not thinking Mewtwo was going to come out with that one. I thought we were that was it. You know, it's going to go to one win apiece. But no, that the back throw came at the perfect time again, and we have seen Larry use that back throw time and time again. And you know, it is old reliable, to
Yeah.
say the least, because again, you know, Pyramithra, they kept going to that center stage, they kept trying to lure the Mewtwo back in every single time, and it was working. It was a phenomenal strat. That's the way you wanted to play it. But then it went to the Mewtwo, it went to Larry had to figure a way, how do I break into these defenses? And they did just that. They threw out the range, they follow it up with, you know, the shock ability they had for that close quarters, and then they pushed the Pyramithra more towards the edge. And
Yeah.
then I still don't know how they managed to get that final stock, considering that it was a back throw. But it didn't look like the Pyramithra even had that much damage on him. It was about the same at 100%.
Yeah, it just barely had reached 100%. And a couple of those extra damage ticks after the initial grab is what put it over 100%. So it was very, very close. I honestly thought that there was a chance they might be able to get back, even despite the animation, despite the smash finish. So I am interesting. Excuse me. I am interesting. Yes, I'm prideful too. No, I am interested to see where things go from here because we saw some great adaptation from Leadership Prep School. The issue is now you're down 2 sets in a best of 5, and a lot of pressure, regardless of the amount of preparation that comes with it, comes with this spot. So it's definitely going to be a tough one for Dylan Griggs, who's going to have to play for Leadership Prep in set number 3.
Yeah, and they're going to be going up against Tony Zamudio. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And from what I'm hearing from their coach is that Tony over here is a senior and has been playing with us for 3 years, being a founding member of their esports program. He was a team captain of the JV team before being placed on Varsity Black and works with the captain, Larry, to lead their team to success. He and his teams have played off appearances every season he has played, and he has multiple state titles with Play Versus and TCSAAL under his belt. In addition, we added Street Fighter this year, and he played in the grand finals in this year's inaugural season for this game title. So clearly, Tony is going to be
Wow.
quite the formidable opponent going into this next match.
Very much so, and I'm just looking. I really wish we'd get a little bit of something from Leadership Prep School. Maybe talk about some of their players, but the fact that we can talk about uh, the accomplishments of young people, that is what the Scholastic Esports is all about. And you have an opportunity to serve as leaders, an opportunity to grow yourself in one of many avenues for professional furtherance at the high school level. And that goes a long way. It's essentially like taking collegiate classes when you're still in the high school level. So it's brilliant stuff to see uh, when you have youngsters who are taking on leadership roles, taking on broadcast responsibilities, taking the opportunities that are given to them. So credit to everybody over there at the Science Academy of South Texas, and thank y'all for the information that y'all keep dropping on us. I'd love to talk about some of the young people and their accomplishments.
If you have recently seen a change of expression on my face, It's because I just saw what the new lineup is going into this matchup.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be a doozy. This is the way you want to see a game 3 play out. And honestly, I want to make a call, but at the same time, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm against spoilers. I am a no spoiler caster today.
Jay,
That's not,
wait a
yes.
minute. So you're normally a spoiler caster? What's going on here?
Sometimes I can't control it, but you see this, right? We're going into game number 3, which is series point in the favor of Science Academy of South Texas, and it is going to be a Byleth taking on a Sora.
So we've seen a Byleth out of Habib for the other side in leadership prep already, and I am interested to see how the cool kit that Byleth brings to the table matches up against the Sora. Sora, a lot of movement. I'd like to see the Byleth standing strong, utilizing the middle of this stage really to dictate not only their own pace, but force some of those force the rotation of the spells out to where it's advantageous.
I'll let you know right off the rip. Byleth hits harder, has more knockback, and can take more damage than Sora. So, like, in all 3 respects, it looks dangerous. Sora, their best ability against this Byleth, using the air, using the speed. They are speedier, and they are floatier than Byleth. So if they can't utilize that, they're going straight into the blast zone. Barely over 100% damage, and all it takes is 1 hit from the spear, and that's all it takes. Like I said, Byleth hits harder, and they take more damage.
All the use of the shield, especially in the face of some of those spells, the face that what Sora would like to use, and throws it to the bench. not really able to get full utilization out of the Thundaga. Thundaga next up, we'll see how they're able to utilize it. If there's one thing I've noticed, it's been a rough go of it trying to get anything on this Byleth. A really good job of zoning out and making sure that they are at good confines, whatever is being thrown at them.
Absolutely. You want to know one of the main reasons why I love Byleth? Like, you already know my fandom for Sora in Kingdom Hearts. Huge fan, love Sora. But the thing with Byleth is that they're a Fire Emblem character, and I've never played a Fire Emblem game. However, Byleth reminds me of a Belmont from the Castlevania series, just from their weaponry alone. The whip, the sword, the spear, you know, their whole kit. They just eminent. They just ooze Belmont to me.
Sora going to the edge there, and I'm not sure I completely approve now the Byleth playing with the edge, almost in mocking form. They're going to get another side B, not able to get the finish. No, they are able to get the finish. I thought the Sora had a little bit more.
Yeah, unfortunate recovery there from the Sora. Again, phenomenal edge guard coming from the Byleth. Like I was saying, you know, this is a difficult matchup no matter which way you cut it for the Sora. Unfortunately, you know, I just don't think Sora's there yet. Byleth is, again, one of the best swordies in the game. And whoever is playing them right now, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say who, but, you know, clearly it was Tony, you know, because we did a whole spiel on Tony before we got into this one. But my goodness, they were playing really, really well. Not only were they spacing correctly, they were using their utility correctly, but even going off stage where Sora ideally has the advantage, Tony decided to take Byleth off stage against Sora and still was able to come out top by using 2 consecutive back airs and then pushing Sora so far out into, you know, off stage to where they couldn't recover. So even going into where an area where Sora would have the advantage, Tony just did not shy away from it, took them the distance, and was able to take game number 1.
And face checking some of the spells that Sora relies on so much. So you do that, all of a sudden, yeah, Sora can be a speedy character, but if all you have is speed, you're not getting any knocks with that speed, and gonna need to think up a new strategy. Is Dylan Sora going into game number 2 of this set number 3? Now we're in the danger zone. One more game, all it's gonna take for Science Academy of South Texas in this set in order to win the entire thing. And That is dangerous, especially given how dynamic game number one was in this set.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, there's really no better place for stages.
Oh, oh, bless you.
I had a sneeze,
Yep,
apologies,
yep,
but
yep.
luckily, I got the mute button, so I was able to mute the sneeze. But any Hoosers, yeah, no. The thing is that even on that stage, it seemed to be a better setting for the Sora, as there were multiple platforms to play off of. So if we go to a map like Final Destination, there's no shot. I'm sorry, I hate to put salt on it, but if you put Byleth against Sora on Final Destination, there's no shot. GG, good game.
I get the feeling you just spoke it into existence again, my friend.
No, dude, if we go to Final Destination, I'll be surprised.
As it has been referred to in the past, the crystal ball head coming out yet again.
I didn't rub it
We'll,
though.
we'll find out. No, you didn't even need to. It's
No,
just
I
that
didn't. I didn't
you're
rub
on
it.
point. You're on point today.
No, what I'm saying is that it doesn't work unless you rub it. There's a ritual to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I apologize. I guess I didn't know.
Yeah, you gotta give it the. It's like the genie's lamp. It doesn't work if you just hold it. You gotta rub the lamp. You gotta rub the crystal ball head. That's how magic works. Any magic items, you gotta like rub it or something.
Here we go, folks. Set number 3. I'm over here. I'm like, okay, time to focus on the game.
Well, that would be a lot easier if we had a game.
They've had the game. Yeah. We're almost there. We're almost there.
We're getting there. And honestly, I do like the in-between bouts because once again, it's time for the Kendo and Ahsoka show where, we've been really talking, in length about these characters. But you know what? I want to take a time to talk about Kendo. That's what I want to talk about, Kendo. Who is your favorite Nintendo character?
Oh, favorite Nintendo character.
Yes.
Okay, so this is, I've been going through my own little rebuild arc currently. And if there is one thing that I've noticed, it's the character that I want to learn. It is Luigi. Mainly due in part to the grapples. And for me, I'm the type that I would rather stand strong with a shield in the middle of everything than grapple you to death. Then bring a couple extra things afterward. But
yeah, not to mention the drop kick with the Doc Martens. That is a lot too. But I guess I should have rephrased my question. This is beyond the realm of Smash. I just meant your favorite Nintendo character. Just for a fan, as a fan, not necessarily in the realm of Smash, just in general. We've been playing Nintendo for many years.
I've been playing Nintendo a lot longer than a lot of people want to know. If I date myself that hard, you'll notice that there's a little bit of gray. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, mine are so gray they're clear.
This is going to be a very interesting pick. But if I had to pick a favorite character, we'll go with Donkey Kong.
Yes, that is also my favorite Nintendo
Hey, there you
character.
go.
That
there
is
you go.
Legitimately my favorite Nintendo character.
Donkey Kong 64 did it for me. The DK rap and everything that went on there was so much fun.
Great game, but I will match your Donkey Kong 64 and raise. pronunciation and or reading of these names have been atrocious, but the gameplay has been absolutely superb. As you can see now, following that last matchup, we had the Sora versus the Byleth, and Sora ended up making a comeback, taking 2 rounds back-to-back to secure the first win there in the favor of LPS Akatsuki. But now here we are going into the next bout. This is set number 4, as Science Academy are still on match point and are looking to take game number 1 here of set 4.
We are going to see a maniacal pace between these two, though. What we saw from Daniel's Brawler was total non-stop action, and it took Sora, Dylan Sora, going side to side, utilizing all the jumps in order to create distance against the Byleth to really have effect. So both of these combatants are going to be going as fast as possible, just able to get the edge off of the Brawler, and just as quick as they were up 2 stocks, things are all even going into the final stock of game number 1.
Yeah, and right now you can see Sora really capitalizing on a lot of those off-stage opportunities, because again, Brawler's recovery, not the greatest. However, the longer we stay on stage, feet on the ground, the more advantage is going to go the way of Brawler. You can see once again they're forced towards the edge and forced to recover right into the forward smash, and now we're just about even, but the Thundaga connects. Perfect execution into the forward smash. Just like that, it will be Leadership Prep taking game number 1.
And Dylan Sora has looked so good. I almost question bringing out Daniel's Meatball with how dynamic it looked going into this match. But at the same time, you gotta put your aces in their places, and what Dylan Sora was able to do at the end here, my goodness. You go with your hot hand, and right now the hottest hand on the stage is Leadership Preps Dylan.
Yep, in fact it was Leadership Prep. Looking very, very strong. Again, going to be bringing out the Sora. And I got to tell you, this is like just today in general has been the most Sora gameplay I think I've ever seen out of my smashing, commentating career. And I've been casting Smash for going on 1 or 2 years now, professionally, mind you. I've been, commentating, Smash as long as I've been playing it, respectively yelling over my friend's shoulder. Still counts as casting experience. It's in my resume, yelling at friends in, Nintendo 64 Smash circa 1999. So regardless, it still counts. And with that being said, this is still the most Sora gameplay that I have seen in quite some time. And you know what? I'm all here for it.
I feel like the reel between friends would be a whole lot different than the professional reel. we won't go into that. Just know, friends, you're still... Anyway, we have the Brawler, we have the Sora, and Daniel, again, despite going up, getting the 2 stocks early, the Sora comes back dynamically, and we are going to see very fast action back and forth between the two. You called it the most Sora gameplay that you have ever seen. I love the fact that you look at what the Sora has put out from set number 3, game number 1, to now the consistent adjustment over time, over the last 4 games, and 2 different looks between the Byleth and the Brawler. It has changed. The adjustment, in my opinion, you're utilizing those jumps to get side to side to make space, and they're riddling the spells. The spells have been going everywhere. It doesn't matter if they hit or not. They have been cycling the spells in under 10 to 15 seconds on a regular basis, and they're utilizing that to zone, to create extra space. And once they see it opening, they're diving in, and they are creating physicality on top of things. They're blowing their opponent out of the water.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that's what we were talking about earlier with when we saw like some earlier Sora gameplay that wasn't as good. One of the shortcomings is that they were not getting the spell spam out the way. And yes, call it the Sora spell spam, because when you use it, it works. And you know what? Specifically, Freeze, and then Thundaga, and then Fire, because again, the fire to me is like one of the worst of the spells. Not in the actual Kingdom Hearts game, but here on Super Smash, definitely. Thundaga still is the best one. And we actually got to see that final stock come at the use of the Thundaga again. So again,
Yeah.
just being able to come through with the spell spam is definitely working in the favor of the leadership prep school. So let's see if they're going to be able to use that spell spam again here in game number 2.
I almost think that for Daniel, you want to slow things down. The Sora is going to want to keep things fast. You utilize Thundaga as an edge guard. You're going to find yourself, just by trying to keep up the pace, off of the side more often than you are comfortable with in a Mii Brawler. So utilize that center to the best of your abilities. Head back to it as often as you possibly can. And don't be afraid to take a block, quick shift, maybe even get a grab, get a grapple in here or there. I know it's in your face. I know it's smash mouth offense, but adding a little variety is going to be a key for Daniel's Mii Brawler.
And speaking of a key, how about a forward smash with that Keyblade to get the first stock off of that Mii Brawler? And now we're just about even at 2 stocks, around the 50% damage percentile. And, you know, I really think that Mii Brawler just has to capitalize on every single time Sora goes for a melee attack. Anytime Sora comes in close with the melee, that is just an opportunity to deal a massive amount of damage. But anytime Sora wins the melee bout, then you're giving them unnecessary damage, because the majority of their damage is going to be coming from range, it's coming from dash attacks, and it's coming from spells.
Oh, I like that interaction. They were almost able to get the up smash through it. Just not able to get the finish off. Now the Sora on the interior of the stage. Bomb throw won't net too much as far as results go, but it just shows you how important it is. If you're the Mii Brawler, you want to play center to side, edge guard, and make sure you keep the pressure on, but you want to keep the pressure on right, and don't get yourself caught out there. We are 0-0 damage, last stock, and for Daniel, you want to bring this one back.
Yeah, you definitely do. And you know what? The last thing you want to do is chase Sora off stage, which is how they forfeited that last stock. But so far, that down throw into the up air, not bad at all. The recovery comes through. We're going back to center stage. Nice little forward kick there from Mii Brawler into a forward throw. Looking to land the bowling balls there, but a nice up tilt will suffice. And now they're trying to apply the edge guard to Sora, which is great. But you have to remember not to chase Sora off stage.
Utilization, almost too much so. Some of those sky dashes, I thought for a second that Sora might have been out. Large up smash, and that's gonna do it. That's the game. We're going to game number 3 in set number 4, and Daniel's Mii Brawler bites back.
Yep, that it does. But with that being said, it was still pretty close. It came down to 1 stock apiece, and you know the edge guard was there. And this time on the last stock, they didn't chase. They did not chase Sora off stage, did not leave themselves vulnerable. You got to remember, Sora is a floaty character. They're good in the air. They are good when there's no platform underneath you. Mii Brawler, entirely opposite. You are a lot better when you have something to stand on. Be it a platform, be it the stage, that's where you have to stay. I know the impulse comes in and you just want to go and get that stock and get that elimination, but patience is a virtue in Smash Brothers. We even saw it earlier with the Pyra going up against a Mewtwo. I mean, that's a completely different scenario, completely 2 different characters on a different stage, and we got to witness the amount of devastation that can come with a patient, perfect playstyle. So again, if you're the Mii Brawler, and this could be said for Sora too, you know, coming from the leadership prep school, patience is a virtue. Don't rush your gameplay. Trust yourself. Trust what you can do. You don't have to force it. Believe.
That being said, if the stage select is going the way that I think that it might go, I'm going to steal this one from you. We've already talked about Final Destination. I think this is a Final Destination call potentially for Dylan on the Sora. Just shorten everything up and create even more havoc for this Mii Brawler.
I will respectfully disagree. If I'm Sora, I want to take, honestly, I would take this one to PS2. If not PS2, I want to go to Animal Crossing, because when you have the Final Destination, there is no use of platforms. When you have platforms, that's actually all the better for floaty characters that can get more aerial combat, especially when you have a smaller map. Final Destination, very long. It has one of the longest one of the longest stages out of all the maps, especially in competitive rotation. So with the amount of more space in the amount of more stage there is, that is where Meat Brawler has more places to put their feet down. We already discussed that Meat Brawler has the advantage when their feet are on the ground. Sora has more advantage when their feet are in the air or off stage. So you want to choose a stage that has a lot less. A lot less stage, a lot less platforms. You want to choose something small so that way you can force Meat Brawler off stage more often and have them rely more on their recovery, which is subpar.
That might have been a mental hiccup I made, but we're on the same page mentally. Like, you want to shorten up the stage as much as you possibly can, and we'll see where we end up going. Okay. I'm very interested. We do have plenty of platform room. We have a little bit wider stage. For the Sora, or Dylan. Going to be battling for the middle of stage. Both combatants desperately seeking out control. And one thing's for sure, there's no lack of speed, nor attenuation towards the adjustment. Wow, the bomb almost there.
Yeah, this one's not bad. This is not a bad stage for either side, actually.
To catch a couple of bombs, the bomb hasn't converted. We've seen it utilized the zone out very well, and that is standard for your Meat Brawler, utilizing the bomb. But we'd like to see a couple of connects here and there. It's a tough one to connect.
Speaking of connecting, how about that back air that was nearly enough to send the Meat Brawler to the blast zone? And now we're going back center stage. Sora doing a phenomenal job of applying the damage. That up B should just about do it, but no, Meat Brawler still hanging on. And there's the up tilt, the opening needed to put Sora into the blast zone for the first stock.
Insane. I especially love the fact that the Meat Brawler able to dodge the Thundaga that they've been using as edge guard. Now, really working things side to side, trying to get the Sora out of the middle, and it's just going to get smashed. Well, holy yawn. That's a home run, if you ask me, coming out of the Sora.
Yeah, but you got to remember that Thundaga is still very much online, but that's not going to help them here in the center stage. Meat Brawler with the constant up tilts, being able to juggle Sora all the way to 79% damage and beyond. Nice forward air there. Finally, up tilts coming from Sora are able to connect for their own. And the Thundaga, that is massive damage done very quickly.
Massive damage, but somehow Meat Brawler able to recover at the very last possible second. So, I say that it's almost as though, oh yeah, there's only 74 damage on this Meat Brawler, and that's just how bad some of the edge play can be for the Meat Brawler. Gonna have to make things up as they go, and I don't really like how we've seen Daniel utilizing the edge maybe a little too much. He does get the bomb on the fall, and it's gonna create a little extra space. Yeah, this could go down to the very end.
It very well could, because right now this Meat Brawler, Daniel getting a little bit too aggressive, getting a little bit too overzealous. Don't get me wrong, they have the momentum on their side, and they can definitely follow that up, and they do, but at the same time, they went for at least one chase off stage, and they nearly got punished for it. So again, do not feed into your opponent. Don't give anything away for free, because I promise they will take it every single time. Meanwhile, Meat Brawler seems to have come back to their senses. Daniel playing a lot more for the center stage, and they are winning a lot of these melee bouts, which is the strength of Meat Brawler.
Stellar. One more up tilt that might go a long way. 136% damage. Not quite. The Sora's not gone yet. Battling for the mid, another throw beyond, and 150, 160 damage. Somehow the Sora stands strong.
Yeah, because right now they're doing a lot of chip damage with the throws here, but all it's going to take is just one solid melee hit. Honestly, that one almost did it, and that one will seal the deal. as it will be Daniel coming away with the final win in the favor of Science Academy of South Texas to get the dub and the victory here for the Texas TCSAA Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Finals Showdown. There you have it. There are your winners.
Hey, you know what? Credit where credit's due. Dylan Sora was putting in work for Leadership Prep School, and they went the distance multiple times, bringing things within very close confines. But the Me Brawler from Daniel makes the adjustments necessary at the end and wins out on the center stage. So love to see it. Congratulations to Science Academy of South Texas, the Varsity Black Squad, able to win that Texas Charter School Academic Athletic League championship. So been a lot of fun today, Cap. I know just as the students have been learning, I am continuously learning the game and some of the maps. So thank you for bearing with me, everyone bearing with us as we've had technical difficulties the whole nine today on the Smash stage. And almost as though I speak the technical difficulties into existence. Are we live still? Hey, everybody! Technical difficulties. We speak them into existence. We lost the Discord for one of us yet again, and now I want to say a special thank you to everyone behind the scenes. Again, Play Versus, all the administrators for the Texas Charter School Academic Athletic League, as well as our production here, Goose, behind the scenes, all the Play Versus administrators. Cap, please take us away. Let's send it.
Well, here you have it. That will be just about it for us here. Again, big shout out to Play Versus as well. I mean, you got to get ready to get in on the action, right? Keep in mind that enrollment for spring 2024 season is now open and it is free to compete. Discover the opportunities that Play Versus offers and get all the details on the upcoming spring season at playversus.com. Don't just watch, play. And with that being said, once again, this has been Kendo Slice, joined by myself, Captain Atsoka, and this will be our finishing adieu, and hopefully soon we will see you again. Have a great night.